I guess let's try vlogging. Welcome to November. So I am currently in my office editing the first ever vlog for Raincoast Vegan. It's something I've wanted to try in the past and just didn't really have enough time. But wow, throwback, I'm gonna have to do a new intro video. That one is the old one from when I first started my channel. It's kind of cute, but it definitely is a bit dated, I think, now. But it was fun to go back and see it just for where it was. Yeah, so November was a little bit all over the map, but I am going to try to give you some commentary as we go through, and I'll pop back in on this little behind the scenes video as I'm editing if I've missed anything. But yeah, let me know if you like this format. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and I will see what I can do about answering them. I don't know about you, but when the cold, damp weather hits, I like to put on my diffuser. I'm using a eucalyptus oil right now all the time. And one of the things I thought I'd go through this month is the biggest question I get is, do you take vitamins? Do you take supplements? If so, what do you take? Now, the first up there was magnesium glycinate. I take that every night. It helps me sleep. And then in the evenings, I take an iron supplement and a vitamin C supplement. Again, I'm not a doctor, so check, get your levels tested, whatever you need to do. This is just what I'm doing, what works for me. And if you are going to take iron, just make sure it's the non-heme plant-based iron. You can see here in the mornings, I'm taking a vegan omega-3, I'm taking calcium plus, and some Herbaland vegan D3 and B12. And also you saw in the beginning these green pills that I'm going to put in there. They're a B complex. Again, what works for me might not be what's right for you, but I get this question a lot, so I thought I'd answer it. Now, if you've been following along the blog, I lost my job October 1st, and this is my office. It has become the place I ignore. Things are piling up. I'm trying to clean things, and I don't know about you, but I clean things by piling other things, and then it just turns into that. I did a bit of cleaning, and then I rewarded myself with my November read. This is the third in a trilogy, and I love the trilogy so much. Just picking up my CSA box. It's Thursday, second to last Thursday of doing it. Just a quick little editing note. I was going to talk a little bit more about my CSA box, but as you can see, or as you will see, I was a little distracted that day with some other stuff that was going on in the world. I am doing a full video though on what my experience has been with a CSA, if you should get one, if it's worth it, how much it costs, and breaking down all the produce that I got, volumes and costs and everything like that, so that you can judge for yourself if it's going to be something that works out for you. It's November 7th. We are 2 days after the US election, and I'm out at the farm picking up my CSA box. I think I'm done crying. I think yesterday was a big day, and I was really shocked. I'm still pretty shocked and appalled at what I've seen, at how much they hate us, how much hate there is in America, but I'm also seeing it here in Canada now. I'm seeing people come out of the woodwork to tell me that Pierre Poilievre has to get elected. Pierre Poilievre, by the way, I mean, I've sort of taken on this. I've always had a lot of fight in me, if anybody who knows me. There's causes I care deeply about. I wrote about the backyard breeding that I think needs to be outlawed. I care deeply about the environment, climate change, the fact that there's still 618 Indigenous reservations in Canada that don't have clean drinking water. I care a lot about a lot of things. One of those things is abortion. I care a lot about women's right to choose, and the last few days has been a lot of me telling people, get active. They are coming for us. Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative Party of Canada, they are coming for us next, and we need to be ready. We need to get local. We need to work in our own ridings. My riding is currently being led by somebody I went to high school with who is an evangelical out here in the valley. He doesn't believe in vaccines. He doesn't believe in abortion. He is extremely right-wing, and honestly, I think we have to do anything we can to get rid of these people. Get them out of office. Don't let them legislate. If you, like many Canadians, think, hey, abortion's not really on the table here, it is. There's an MP out of Alberta. 19 times in the last 3 years, he's introduced legislation to try to, or introduced a petition to try to outlaw abortion. 3 times recently, 2016, 2021, 2023, the Conservative Party of Canada has voted trying to outlaw abortion or take away rights for humans, or start getting like legislation in for fetus rights at 5 weeks. Most recently, as of August of 2023, there is not a single sitting MP, Conservative MP, who is pro-choice. So this is absolutely crucial here, and that's what's on my mind lately. And I'm just trying to deal with it the best way I know how. Get information out to people. I think a lot of people have had a lot of trust in what goes on in Canada, and they think we won't go that far right. They think this is about the economy. It's not about the economy. It's not about the economy. If it was about the economy, people would know things like last year, actually this year as well, Justin Trudeau led a really successful bid. We beat out the Americans to get EV plants in Canada. We made a better bid. We made a bigger offer. And we secured end-to-end supply chain for EVs for Canadians. We make all the minerals all the way up through the cars. That was secured by us because we saw competition coming with the US. The Liberals acted, and we are now in a good position for it. There has been a ton of stuff like that, and people just don't know about it. Or they use things like the economy and they mean their pocketbooks. And I get, man, I mean, I'm currently unemployed. I don't even know if I've talked about this yet this month. I lost my job, and I've worked in retail. Recently, I worked in retail. I know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. I know what it's like to be broke. Probably a lot better than these MPs that have been in power for ages who have never worked a retail job. Like a lot of people out there, I'm sure you know what it's like to work paycheck to paycheck, and it's hard. Groceries are expensive. Things are expensive right now. But that won't improve under Pierre Poilievre. That will not improve under a Conservative government. The issue is not with the people in power. The issue is not sort of politics. The issue is capitalism. The issue is these grocery barons who are out of control with the prices. The issue is climate change, making it harder for farmers. That it is more expensive to have crops, that crops often get destroyed. There is a whole version of import and export of things that are, you know, like cocoa and coffee and things around the world that we don't grow here, that's going to get more expensive because of major crop loss. And we really need to think about those things.
Yeah, we're going to take a hard pivot into food content. I really don't know where to go. That was such an emotional time for me when I was recording that. And I went home and I made myself pasta, because when the world is going bad, making the most garlicky pesto kale pasta of all time is kind of the only thing that could bring me some comfort. And this was delicious and cheesy and gooey, and I don't think I made a recipe video for it separately, but it was good and it got me through that first week in November. Now, part of the reason I wanted to do these vlogs is I wanted to take you on behind the scenes and just like a little bit more than just cooking. If you've been following me for a long time, you know that I've been going through long COVID since June of 2022, and November was a major milestone for me. I was able to go for multiple walks. I can't express to you how big of a change this has been for me. I can't exceed more than going once every third day. But the progress I made from the beginning of the month to the end of the month was huge.
So I am cleaning out my office. It's a bit of a big job. Anyways, so I'm cleaning out my office today. Yes, it's November and I am in a tank top. That's my current state. But it occurred to me, I'm not sure how many other people out there are readers. I'm hoping a lot of you. I love reading. but this is something that I have been doing. I realized every year since 2014 now is I put together a Christmas reading list. So these are all the books that I'm hoping to read this Christmas. I'm just going to turn it around. I really want to get through all these Karen Swans. I've been collecting them every year and they keep bumping to the end of my reading list. She's a Canadian author. I love Jenny Colgan. Her stories are always really sweet. I think I have 2 of them on this list. And then back in July, yeah, there's the other Jenny Colgan. So back in July, I put together, I do a lot of pre-buying. So I put together this list of ones that I ordered from Indigo and they've just been being delivered over the past few weeks. It's kind of a fun surprise actually because, I mean, all the pre-orders, the pre-releases, you get bonus points and they come out in July, so you know ahead of time what's coming out. And each year I get through not as many as I think I'm going to, so I always have some to carry forward to the next year. This was my favorite from last year. It's called It Happened When Christmas. It's by Chantel Gurton. I am probably saying that wrong. She's a Canadian author. I think she used to write for like Chatelaine and stuff. But pick this up. It's a really sweet little story. It happens it's a very Canadian town. It's a guy who has a Christmas tree farm and a girl who works in Hollywood, and she decides to set this movie in this small Canadian town. Anyways, I definitely recommend it. But yeah, let me know. Do you have a Christmas book list? Or at least holiday? Not all of these are about Christmas. Some of them are, I think there's one about witches and there's other ones just about the solstice and stuff. So it should be interesting. Speaking of Christmas, I have my advent calendars already. This is the one I get from Bon Maman. And then, whoop, this is my one that I get from Nespresso. It's like a little train with little train cars this year. It's very cute. And then each year they give you, see the little train design? Each year they give you on the 24th day like a big special edition mug that you can use for the rest of the year. I'm just going to talk a little bit about long COVID. Everybody's experience is totally different, but for me, this November has been a really huge month with progress. It was something that people don't really understand with long COVID is that you aren't deconditioned. So it's not that you're out of shape and you're just trying to get back into shape. Your whole cellular structure is kind of changed when you've had long COVID, and you have to relearn a lot of things within your body. And this every 3 days that I talked about a little earlier, it is recommended. BC's province has a whole bunch of guides online to sort of help you self-direct, but it is recommended that you go only every 3 days because your fatigue can catch up with you 72 hours later. So I had been trying earlier in the year going every day, and by day 4 I was gassed out. I didn't have any energy left. And that's because the exercise you do on day 1, it takes you 72 hours to recover from. So you want to be able to give yourself that rest time in between. The big deal for me this month is that I had this milestone that I hit. So the idea with this is because you're not deconditioned, you should just be not trying to increase the amount of time you're going out or the distance that you're going out. You're supposed to be able to build up little bits at a time, but for me, that meant walking the exact same route and then just marking where I would get tired in the route. And this month I was able to every little bit further, I would make it a little bit further before I got really gassed out basically. And by the end of the month, I was able to walk at a pace, and I wasn't pushing it, I just was naturally feeling this way. I was able to walk at a pace that I haven't been able to hit since April of 2022, which was a major, major milestone for me. There's been many months that I haven't been able to go for a single walk. So being able to do this consistently through the month was like, it was beyond. It was so exciting for me.
I've been experimenting a lot with different meat protein sources. This was Beyond Meat hot Italian sausage with shallots just fried up, and then I added it to pasta with some extra pasta water and some nutritional yeast, so just a tiny bit, and it was some of the most delicious pasta I've ever had.
Well, we are harvesting parsley in the pouring rain. I'll be honest, I wasn't intending on harvesting all this parsley, but I just checked the forecast and it says it's getting down to snowing tonight. I think it's a little early for snow. I hate snow, but I don't want to waste all my parsley, so we're bringing it inside. That's why I always check the forecast. I'm surprised I didn't get any leaves in here, but last minute parsley. Now I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with this.
I also had to figure out what to do with a bunch of pear and apple that I had left over from my CSA box through the fall, and I made this awesome apple and pear cider full of spices, and it was the perfect warming thing.
All right, so I have to be out of the house for most of the day. I mean, I don't have to, but we got notified that the city is doing something to the water system, and so we can't use water between 9 and 4. So I thought that would be a good time to run some errands, be near a cafe in case I need to use the facilities or wash my hands or drink water. Oh yeah, so let's see how this day goes. First stop is the gas station. Before I go anywhere, I gotta get some gas in case I get stuck in traffic. It's $1.60. I can't remember if that's good or bad. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying $1.60 is that good or bad. I don't remember because I'm against the carbon tax or something. I'm pro carbon tax. Some of you might not know this, but I just spent 4 years working for a hydrogen company because I felt compelled to do something more about the environment, and it was an interesting job and what they were doing was interesting. But yeah, I am not one of those people who was against the carbon tax. I am totally fine with it. I just genuinely can't remember. I can't remember anymore. I fill up maybe once a month, and when I started driving, I think gas was like 45 cents a liter. So I don't remember if it's good or bad anymore. I feel like it was like $2 last year. Anyway, let's get on the road. Okay, so my first stop today is District 1881. I'm out here in Chilliwack, and the most hilarious thing, I just parked my car, and if I look that way, there's influencers taking photos, and if I look that way, there's influencers taking photos. It is such a picturesque little place. If you've never been here before, definitely make it out, but they have all the Christmas decor up here right now, so I think that's why people are out.
If you've never been out to Chilliwack to District 1881, it's definitely worth a trip. They're just finally finishing up construction on the last building, and it's so adorable, but it also has a great community vibe to it. They have these townhouses that you can live in, and then you have a shop below, and they're rental only to help people with small businesses. Plus, it's just kind of adorable all year long, but especially at Christmas time. They also have this really cool thing called the Hotel Morado. It's digital access entirely. So you could stay out there if you really wanted to make a weekend of it, or if you had events going on. It is such a cute little spot. Here's one of the townhouses I was talking about. See, up top you have a rooftop patio, and then there's 3 stories, and then you have the shop below.
Okay, you might have noticed there was a quick change of venue there. Yeah, so, oh my God, Santa Claus. Santa Claus is in the rear view. I swear to God, I just saw Santa. Where'd he go? Look at this. Santa Claus. I saw Santa. Oh my God. Okay, not the point. Back to what I was talking about. So, I wanted to come out to District 1881. I love it out here. There's actually a little store that I've been toying with the idea what to do next now that I don't have a job. And there's this little storefront that I think would be really good for like a photo business and it doesn't really matter, but I wanted to check out the space, and I thought I'd stop at Hugo's because I've heard so much, well, I've read so much about their food online, and it looks so good. And I was like, tacos? I'm totally down for tacos. And they make vegan churros, and they have like 3 different, it's not just like cauliflower, they have multiple different vegan tacos. They have vegan appetizers. I was in. And I get to the restaurant and I asked to be seated on the patio, which is like, it's the tiniest little pocket of a restaurant. So you can see everything from the patio. And it's a beautiful day. So I was like, I'll just sit outside because there weren't that many tables inside. It was crowded and, you know, flu season. So I sat outside, and then they brought me a menu when they sat me, and they were like, no problem, absolutely sit outside. And then never came back. And I waited 25 minutes. I couldn't get the attention of anyone. And I was like, I'm hungry. The reason I'm out today is because they've turned off the water. I'm starving. I haven't had breakfast. It was like 1 o'clock. So I just walked. And fortunately, like, this could have been a really big problem. Today, I'm having an okay long COVID day. I've been making a lot of really big progress lately. It's a huge deal for me to be out walking about, even driving this far from my house and like walking. And I know there's a lot of sitting, so it's okay. I'm doing okay with managing my symptoms. But not eating and not knowing where else I could find food. And the only place that I knew for sure had one vegan option was Bow and Stern. So I was like, okay, I used to love that place when I ate meat. It's a seafood place. It's a seafood and fish place. There's one in Abbotsford. There's one out here in Chilliwack. And I thought, oh, I know they have a really good poke. I've heard they've had a good poke bowl. And it's the only thing on the menu. So like, it's the only, I'm going to have to commit to that. And I walked slowly till I found it. I got in. And let me tell you, they were so nice. Immediately, the bartender was like, hey, how's it going? Like, do you want a cozy booth? Do you want to sit at the bar? What can you do? No problem. He sits me up with a booth. He says, somebody will be with you shortly. No sooner does he walk away, another woman comes up. Here's some water for you. Here's some menus. Do you need anything? And I said, I'm a vegan, so there's only one thing I can order here. And she was like, yeah, totally no problem. We'll get you the poke bowl. And I ordered it with crispy tofu. And I was just looking around, beautiful atmosphere, love the decor, love the style, great music, but not too loud, but really good music. A little Sabrina Carpenter, a little like Benson Boone. It was very chill vibes. And so not too long after, my food comes, and it is gorgeous. I'm going to put it in the video that I check. It is so beautiful. And I'm not going to lie here. The tofu is maybe better than the tofu I make myself. It was seasoned so well. Like, a lot of times you go to a place and they're like, we have a tofu bowl and whatever, and it's like lightly seasoned, and then they also just sort of forget about the other vegetables. That wasn't this. This was like pineapple and spicy things and microgreens and daikon sliced. It was beautifully done and all different flavors, and it came with this huge tempura crispy nori thing on top, and it had the most satisfying crunch of all time. It was so good. And the service was nice, and I was putting it on Instagram while I was sitting there, and even on Instagram they're like, we're so sorry it took so long to respond to you, and we're so glad that you came in. We really are trying to expand our vegan menu, so, you know, thank you so much for coming in. And I gave him feedback. I was like, honestly, give me a plate of this tempura stuff. This tofu is excellently seasoned. And also, I'm just really glad that they're trying to be more inclusive, because it's really, really hard to find places that are reliable and are going to have good vegan food. I am dying for some of these restaurants to have good vegan breakfast and brunch. I just don't go out for breakfast and brunch because what's the point? It's never good. It's like avocado toast for $20. Yeah, it's so easy to make a scramble or a hash or something. Your chefs figure it out. It's not that hard. I do it every day in my home. There's so many great options. I think people just need to think outside the eggs and bacon, to be honest. But yeah, anyways, great time at Bow and Stern. So glad I got to come out here today. I'm a little bit tired, and I do have to go pick up my CSA box. So it's time to get back on the road.
But I couldn't leave without going to the Bookman to drop off some books, lightly used, and it's the best bookstore around. There's one in Abbotsford too. And then I'm driving all the way out to the CSA Glen Valley Organic Farm. It's an interesting drive if you choose to pick up at their location.
It's the last day of the CSA box. I'm just here picking up my final box of the season.
You don't have to pick up at the farm. They have a bunch of different pickup locations, but I live close enough that I could drive out there. And I decided to do it because it's like a nice, peaceful moment. But you walk into their barn, if you've never seen how this works before, they package out all of the food. It has your name on it, tells me what's going to come in. One of the best things about this specific CSA is how communicative they were. They have these amazing emails, and I always knew exactly what I was going to get. And it was customizable. If I didn't want something, I didn't have to take it. But this was the last week. Some nice squash and sunchokes and cabbage. And honestly, I'm sad to see it go. I don't really know what I'm going to do all winter long, and I cannot wait to do this again next year. It doesn't start back till June though, so I have a good 6 months to figure out what I'm going to eat. Hopefully some things from my own garden.
Okay, well, it's 3:30, which means by the time I get home, I should actually have water again, which is great. My last CSA box is a little sad. I'm actually doing a whole video about whether or not you should do a CSA box, how the cost breaks down, is it worth it, what I got, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. Spoiler alerts, I think it's totally worth it. I've had so much fun. But yeah, I have been plagued with a ton of bad drivers and crazy traffic and construction all day long. None of this day went according to plan, really. I was planning to go out to the Veganist as well when I was out in Chilliwack, but they had a car accident. They've been closed down. Some stuff's going on with them, so I couldn't go out today. So I guess we just need to learn to adjust. That is today's lesson. We roll with whatever the day is going to bring us.
And that applies to the office. Listen, it hasn't been going well, and I need to edit, so I just cleared off a spot. I have so much blog writing to do that I'm behind on. I have so much newsletter stuff to prep. There's my behind the scenes. If you want a true behind the scenes look, this is what it looks like for me to go through and sit and edit and come up with all the visuals. And I've been really behind since losing my job. Again, I keep talking about this, but it was really out of the blue, and just October 1st, I had no job anymore. So I have been really hard pressed to try to find the motivation to write and do everything on a schedule. I had everything planned ahead of time, and then I made it to the end of November without doing anything. And then as soon as I sat down, I ran into an issue where the fonts wouldn't work. So everything that I was trying to write my templates weren't working. And then I was like, okay, do I have to update my Mac? No, apparently I just had to update Adobe Creative Cloud. But then I ended up updating my Mac anyways. This is the life behind the scenes of what it's like to actually be a content creator. It's not glamorous, like not even remotely glamorous. This is my Paper-like screen cleaner. If anybody's ever seen these before, I really love it. It's the perfect thing for my Mac and my iPhone and everything else. This is not an ad, I just like it. Anyway, what I was trying to say is the life of a content creator is not glamorous. It's a lot of sitting at a computer and just figuring things out and troubleshooting when you run into some issue that you don't know why it's doing that. And then we woke up to this. It's gotten so much worse since, but the raccoons had a feast in my yard. At least the days have been nice and the skies have been blue in some of November when it's not been pouring rain. But honestly, like I said before, getting through this walking milestone was such a huge step for me. I'm so happy with this progress that I've been making. And I also have been doing this vibration plate therapy, which sounds a little woo-woo, but it makes me feel better. So if it works, do it. Everybody's long COVID journey is different. And that's it for November. I finished it off with a little pain au chocolat. They're vegan. I got them at Vegan Supply. I hope you like this little behind the scenes look at how things come together.